With the new update out on ERLC, I thought I'd go over all the additions, changes, and fixes that have been made, and hopefully I haven't missed any. I was able to find 25, but there might be some more, so we'll get straight into it. First of all, and most obviously, the map expansion, which has more than doubled the size of the game's map compared to the previous version, with of course lots of new places and things to do. And along with the map expansion was a new town called Springfield, which sort of has a historic downtown look, and it has a couple of interactable buildings like a clothes shop and a restaurant. The other addition to the game that contributed to the map's expansion was High Rock Park, which is a very large and new location that can be explored, whether you go for a walk or attempt to go for a drive off-road. There's quite a lot to do there. Cabins were also added in the park, which can be purchased, and at the top there's a viewing deck which overlooks the whole county. Now obviously there were quite a lot of redesigned buildings, one of which was the county jail, which now looks a lot more modern and has a much more detailed interior to it, with a lot of new rooms and things to do inside of it. Another redesigned building is the all-new fire station, which gives us a lot more space, and the interior has had quite a big revamp, and similar to the prison or the county jail, it's now got a lot more detail and opportunity to roleplay in. And of course, the feature that most people were looking forward to was the highway, which almost spans the entirety of the map, and the sheriff's office has been designated to patrol it, which leads us on to our next change, which is the moving of the sheriff's office, which is now located just outside the downtown Springfield area. A brand new feature we got are major server calls, which require the effort of each of the emergency service departments. We got a couple of new calls there, some of which include the tunnel collapse. There are some vehicle accidents, I believe, a plane crash, strong winds, and a bridge collapse. Moving on, we got one new job, which is the garbage collector. To take part in this job, you would go to the waste center, pick up a garbage truck, and then make your rounds, bring your trash back, and dump it. So for some people this might not be the most interesting job, but it definitely adds a lot of roleplay opportunities and a bit more depth into the game, allowing for people to have different options to do different things. So the next feature that we got is sort of a more subtle one, which is some new settings in private servers which allow for things like major server calls to be enabled or disabled, and they can also be spawned manually in as well by private server owners. A smaller change that has been made to quite a few buildings around the county is that they now have loading docks, and although there's no functional purpose or reason for them yet, I can understand the need to add them for visual appeal, but it does make you wonder whether or not at some point in the future we might get some kind of trucking job that requires them to be used. So the next two things on the list are actually bug fixes, one of which is that law enforcement officers now actually receive XP for responding to bank robberies, which was a bug in the previous game version where no XP was actually given. And the second bug fix is that the view command now works, which applies to people who have who own private servers or ones who moderate in them and have admin commands. So something that quite a lot of people have probably noticed is that a lot of the filler buildings across the map have been modified or changed or most importantly redesigned to include quite a lot more detail or a different look, maybe add a bit more physical depth to it, or just change up how it looks in general. So for one more bug fix, now when you Alt-Tab out and then back into the game, there isn't a chance that your vehicles will disappear, which a couple of people seem to report as being an issue in the previous game version. Gas stations were another target of the big revamp that took place. They now all include more gas pumps, they each have a car wash at them, and the interior shop is quite a bit more detailed now. Just down the road from Springfield is now a new housing suburb, which sits by a lake in which the river runs back down to where it used to finish off. Something that less people might be aware of is that in the hidden caves in the game, there's now a sign that says a cave expansion is coming soon, so that can definitely be something to look forward to. Behind the car mod shop is now a big city park, which has replaced the old taxi and limousine building and some other unused land. Speaking of which, the taxi and limousine building has obviously been relocated, and it is now just across the road and sits next to the Three Guys restaurant. A smaller detail of this update was that a lot of buildings now have ladders on them, which is quite nice because it makes them more accessible to people who don't have admin commands or a fire truck with one of those big long ladders. It's not clear why they were added, but my best guess would be that it has something to do with RP, or maybe those are buildings that fires can spawn on, so it makes putting out those fires a little easier and more accessible to firefighters who don't have a higher rank. That little dead-end road that used to exist by the river has now been removed. The industrial area has been upgraded with quite a lot more buildings now, and of course an increased amount of detail in those new buildings. Moving on to the farm area now, instead of just 2 crop fields, there are now a total of 9, which has greatly expanded the entire farm area. Also in the farm area is the big barn, which has had quite a good interior upgrade, and now it looks a lot more detailed. So there are 25 new features in the ERLC Summer 2022 update. If there's anything I missed, definitely leave a comment below so I am aware of it. I'll be sure to get into role-playing and enjoying the new update in ERLC, and if you'd like to see some more videos on the subject, definitely go ahead and subscribe if you feel like it, and I will see you in the next video.